Happy Friday afternoon, February the 10th, 2023. In this video, we're going to be talking about a weakened storm system that is still going to bring big impacts for the southeast. And then we're going to keep an eye on next week's storm system as that looks concerning for significant impacts, including for severe weather and heavy snowfall. And then number 3, we're going to be talking about our crazy temperatures expected all for next week. With now taking a look at those current temperatures for Friday afternoon for 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we can see temperatures are definitely cold at this hour for Minnesota, for Wisconsin, for the Dakotas. That's part of due to the cold Arctic air that has filtered in across the region, but to the south, where it is currently in the mid to upper 50s with some 60s and 70s over Florida. In fact, pushing already in the mid 80s in central and southern Florida like Miami. But across the west, temperatures are pretty mild with temperatures right now in Sacramento, 51 degrees, 53 in San Francisco, and 45 degrees right now in Seattle. This is where it's going to get really warm over the next few days for the high plains, for the deep south, and even for the upper Midwest. So taking a look at those 24-hour temperature changes since yesterday at about 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we can see temperatures are 24 to 30 degrees colder than they were 24 hours ago over the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, as well as West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Temperatures largely across the east are running about 10 to 15 degrees colder than they were 24 hours ago. Temperatures are running warmer than 24 hours ago if you are across the northern Rockies, portions of Nevada, where it's currently 6 to 10 degrees warmer than it was. That's due to the ridge of high pressure that is dominating our weather pattern, and that's going to lead to some warmer temperatures today, yet again like they were yesterday over across the west. But big changes are coming there surely but shortly. Okay, so now taking a look at those current wind speeds as of Friday, 1 p.m., you can see breezy winds going on across the northern tier, some gusty winds going on across the northeast, where gusts anywhere between 25 to 40 miles an hour have been reported, and also for Texas and Oklahoma, where you have gusts right now between 15 to 25 miles an hour of this hour. Some breezy winds over the Sierra, part of that next weather system that's coming in for the weekend. Here is your last 24-hour observed snowfall totals as of this morning, and you can see portions there of southern Wisconsin have already measured maybe about 7 to 8 inches of snow. Northern Missouri, about 3 to 5 inches. Southeastern Iowa, about 3 to 5 inches of snowfall. So now let's take a look at those temperatures for today, because yes, just because you saw snow doesn't mean it's going to stick around for very long. In fact, it's probably going to be gone in the next couple of days, and that's because a warm-up is coming. So these are a look at the temperatures that are anticipated today. Daytime highs going for the mid-80s for Florida, temperatures in the 60s and 70s for the southeast, for the upper Midwest, and for the Ohio Valley, temperatures going to warm up into the low to mid-40s today. So after starting off a little chilly this morning, you're warming up nicely. Temperatures going to stay in the 20s if you're in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and also for Iowa, including for North Dakota. But otherwise, it's going to warm up really nicely. Check this out for Saturday, where temperatures, oops, I don't have that. That will be towards the end of the video. Sorry, I confused you all there. If you like the confusion, though, and you like the content, if you haven't already during the video, be sure you subscribe, share this, and also hit the like button. Let's get this up to 100 likes. So now let's take a look at the GFS global computer models, because yeah, we talked about our current weather conditions, but what we didn't talk about is where it's raining and where it's going to rain by this afternoon. And so the GFS does indicate that moderate to heavy rainfall is expected over Georgia, the portions of Alabama, if you are in Florida, if you are in, say, portions of South Dakota, or not South Dakota, South Carolina. There we go, South Carolina, David. That's where we are seeing the showers increasing. Part of the weather system that's going to be scooting on in. So by Saturday afternoon, right around 7 p.m. For your February 11th time frame, that's what we're anticipating to see. Look at that. February the 12th at 7 in the morning, moderate to heavy rainfall is anticipated as that surface low really gets going. This continues to be a little bit of a problem, not the biggest, we're going to see some big impacts because of flooding, maybe some strong winds, that sort of thing. But as far as snowfall goes, probably a little lesser than what we first thought, but still, it won't matter. You're going to have rain. You're going to have problems out on the roadways. So keep that in mind. When you're going anywhere for this weekend, it can be a little stormy. All right, by Sunday night, that system moves into the northeast, may clip that area like Cape Cod, can get some strong winds and some moderate to heavy rainfall as that low moves to your southeast. But then that moves out, and all of you back across the southeast and the eastern half there, such as the eastern seaboard, look pretty good for your Monday. This is Monday, 7 p.m. Looks fantastic out there. Okay, and then what in the heck are we talking about? Our next system that we are going to be continuing with. This is the bigger one. This is the one that the SPC is already mentioning for severe weather, which we'll take a look here in a little bit, okay? Make sure you stay tuned for that, okay? And there will be a timestamp to that, by the way. All right, so day 4, Tuesday morning, there's a storm system, severe weather, you bet it, possibly some tornadoes, some strong winds, and some hail. That's 7 a.m. on Tuesday. Then 7 p.m., that perturbation moves into the north, into the Great Lakes. That's going to be a quick mover. It's not going to really hang around for very long, but yeah, it's going to amp the atmosphere of what's to come. That's our weaker one. As far as snow impacts go, probably not any snow at all. Maybe about 1 to 3 inches at the very most. It's this little guy back here in the four corners. I'm circling that with my fat mouse here. You can see there 994 millibars, and then that develops into the high plains by Wednesday, and that moves into the Great Lakes. But look at that. Snow is going to be a thing with this one, and it really deepens. 980 millibars on the GFS model, and this yields medium to high confidence in the forecast. But also take note, severe weather with this one. So we're seeing a 1-2 punch here, maybe a multi-day severe weather threat existing for Monday, possibly for Tuesday and Wednesday, maybe even into Thursday. Might even see a 4th day in there. Something that we have not seen so far this season. It's been only maybe 1 or 2 days, but this could be a multi-day threat here for the Deep South for severe weather and strong winds. That front kind of moves in through slowly by Friday morning, and then by Friday afternoon into Saturday, that front moves offshore, leaving all of you all dry and quiet for next weekend, February the 18th and the 19th. Severe weather now. Yes, we got a little bit to talk about here. The categorical risk, a slight risk for day 2. That is tomorrow. That is Saturday into Sunday. That is driven by a tornado risk, a 5% chance of tornadoes, and a wind risk, a 15% chance of that occurring. Hail threat is non-existent. That is a less than 5% in all areas, so hail doesn't look to be a big threat with this one. However, though, we are keeping an eye on day 6 and day 7. There are slight risks for severe weather in this area. For the Arklatex region, the Miss-Latex into the Tennessee, even portions of Kentucky there and Missouri, under a slight risk. That's a 15% for day 6. And of course, day 7, a week from now, we're looking at severe weather potentially over Alabama, over Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida. This could include, again, tornadoes. Some of them could even be strong, given the thermals and kinematics that are out there. So maybe a few strong tornadoes. I know I'm going ahead of myself. People are going to call me out on that. David, stop the hype. It needs to stop. There's an increasing confidence that this could be a little more significant. Damaging winds and some hail all look possible with this. Okay, so yeah, we're watching next week very closely, primarily on this is for Thursday and Friday, and might even get that into Monday and Tuesday because of that first perturbation that we talked about. All right, so a flood risk is out for the southeast. A slight risk for day 1 and day 2. So some heavy rainfall that might lead to some flood problems in that area. You guys have had too much rain. You're going to continue to see a lot of that moisture accumulate throughout the next 3 days as these cold fronts kind of stall through the region. For the eastern seaboard, a day 3 marginal risk for flash flooding and heavy rainfall. So now let's take a look at the European model for 7 p.m. Let's see what their deal is here. So of course we're going to go through this very quickly so the video doesn't end up horribly long. I don't know if anyone wants to watch a 20-minute video here. There's a lot to talk about. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. So yeah, there's a surface low there on the European model. A little bit of snow for the higher elevations. Quite a bit of rainfall for the Carolinas and for the eastern seaboard for your weekend. So for Saturday and Sunday, pretty stormy. Lots of wind, some heavy rainfall as that low moves off. And then there's the perturbation for Tuesday morning. Timing issues here might prevent this preventing the SPC of warranting any outlook, but we'll see. All right, if this happens in the morning, the severe weather may not be quite as significant as what we first thought, but if it happens more later, we might see a more conditional risk for severe weather. But either way, there is a disturbance that moves across the plains for Tuesday and a Wednesday. My bad if I said Monday for severe weather. That doesn't look likely. I got ahead of myself. The days next week are confusing sometimes, right? Then that moves out. Then we get our next disturbance. This one looks a lot more promising. Heavy snow to the north, severe weather to the south, and tornadoes that we mentioned on the SPC Outlook and on the GFS. So your day 2 temperature outlook goes like this. We talked about day 1. Now let's take a look at your temperatures for the next couple of days here. You can see temperatures warming up into the upper 50s to low 60s over Texas and Oklahoma. 70s and 80s over Florida. Nice, hot, warm weather, right? If you hate the cold, you can go towards Florida. The Floridians are liking that. Temperatures in the 40s and 30s in the northern plains and the Great Lakes. So milder weather returning. That continues into Sunday. High pressure builds in. That means what? You get warm air advection northward, and that brings in warmer air. Look at that. 60s and 70s over Texas and Florida, with temperatures in the 50s and 60s over Missouri, Arkansas, and even for the Kansas area. So yeah, it's a little chilly now, but that will change in a couple of days. Temperatures in the 60s, close to 70 over California and Arizona, with 20s and 30s over the Intermountain West, like the Northern Rockies, where it's typically cold because you're higher up in elevation. But it's going to get colder before anything warms up back west. Look at the Climate Prediction Center here. There is a 80 to 90% chance that temperatures will be below average over California, over the Intermountain West, the Desert Southwest, and the Pacific Northwest because of amplified troughing that is going to hug our area. The descending node of the flow brings in colder air out of the north. You get the ascending node of the flow over the Carolinas, over the Great Lakes and the Northeast. That advects warmer temperatures. So you're likely to see above average temperatures over the eastern half of the nation, especially east of Missouri and portions there of Mississippi. But don't get fooled. The warmer weather might go a little further west. So a likelihood of above average temperatures continue for the northeast and the eastern seaboard, with below average temperatures back west. Been a very odd season. Been very cold in long term. The last 90 days have been temperatures 5 to 10 degrees below normal over the west. So big time chilly weather overall in the long term. All right, so that is going to do it. But before I do go, everybody, I do have a couple of announcements to share with you. The first and foremost, so I don't block my PowerPoint. That's why my face has disappeared. So we wanted to review this weekend storm growing concerns for the weekend, and then followed by, again, we're keeping an eye on the middle of next week for that system that could bring lots of snow and strong winds. And then, of course, those temperatures are going to be well above average. A big extreme temperature or extreme weather potentially by the middle of next week. But if you want to get the latest information, latest updates, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Be sure you give the video a huge thumbs up, and also you could follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and even on the what website? What was that? Mesobort WX. You can also follow me there via Evan James, where he made the website possible. All right, well, that's going to do it with this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back with you more tomorrow with more updates on this significant weather that is coming.